All right. Just remember you're being recorded. So anything you can say about me is going to be recorded and streamed to the internet. All right. Thank you guys for coming to this important topic. I like to say that there's lots of dads in the room tonight. I find that interesting. We wanted to talk to you about school safety. This has actually been something that we had planned, but in light of some of the recent things in Oregon and other places, we thought it was important to bring to you. About 2 weeks ago, all of the schools in the city went through a training through an organization called I Love You Guys Foundation. And they trained schools on the standard response protocol, which if you didn't receive a copy, a parent version of it, it's up here, along with the standard reunification plan. And so they came in and they trained all of the schools, public and private, in Vacaville. They had law enforcement there. And really the idea behind it was that we would all have a standard practice if there was ever an emergency on campus. And so that we would have some shared wording and things that we would use with the law enforcement and other schools, so that they wouldn't go to one school site and they have a whole different system, and it would be harder for law enforcement to come in and help us. So my goal tonight is to kind of train you on what we're training the students and our staff on. Our staff has been trained on this. Our students had our first drill using some of the new practices. Last week, they're going to have another drill on Thursday. Is it the 16th? 15th? Whatever the day is for the National Earthquake Drill Day. We're going to be participating in that this week. So I'm going to go through some different information for you. The big thing with our plan that we had is we felt we had a really good plan. There was very little tweaks we made to our school plan. The one thing that we didn't have, or what I feel wasn't as good as it could have been, is a reunification plan. And so that's how do we get the kids back to you after an emergency. And this program brought in a really good way of doing it. And so I'll go over that at the end. So these symbols up here you're going to see is a common theme. These are now posters in all of the classrooms. The idea behind this, I'll touch on this really quickly. Our recipe for success, one of the things I've been talking about for 2 years now, what's going to make this school good. The number one thing we have on there is maintaining a safe and supportive learning environment. So the things that we have done is that we've created a partnership with the local law enforcement. Every single drill that we have has law enforcement present so that they can give us feedback. Our safety committee is built with law enforcement on it. We've instilled security cameras throughout the campus. That's something that this school did not have before. So all the entrances and exits are covered. We've installed additional fencing to create a close campus. And so all the gates are locked during the school day, besides the one entrance to the parking lot. We do monthly drills to prepare our students and our staff. And we use a wide range of communication tools. You probably saw a few of those today. Text messaging, Facebook, those types of things. And then we review the procedures regularly. We hired additional staff this year, campus monitors, making sure that we've always got at least 2 people covering the campus as far as campus monitors on top of our additional staff, just to make sure it's safe. So the big idea behind this is that there's a shared lexicon, shared communication between students, staff, and responders. And they want us to share this with first responders, students, staff, as well as you guys. So everyone forgets about the parents. The parents need to be trained on what our process is just as much as the students do. So there's 4 actions that we're going to go over today. There's lockout, lockdown, evacuate, and shelter. Each action is followed by a directive. So lockout is secure the perimeter. So lockdown, locks, lights, out of sight. Evacuate is you need to evacuate to a location. In shelter, is there some kind of hazardous material or safety that students need to be aware of? Every action has specific instructions. It might be a public address. It's going to be repeated. Lockout, secure the perimeter. Why do we do a lockout? So there's a difference between a lockout and a lockdown. A lockout means that there's something dangerous near the school. So that could be that we've got a house that's getting raided. It could mean that Ace Hardware is getting robbed. A bank is getting robbed. Something's going on in the neighborhood. It could be criminal in the activity. It could be civil unrest. It could be a dangerous dog, which we have had those on the campus before. So we have had to chase dogs off the campus. So what happens with that? Basically, we lock everyone in and no one can go in or out. This is going to be a quick video to show you what this might look like.
Lockouts are typically called for by law enforcement officials.
Hi, this is Evan with the Broomfield Police Department.
Or district personnel.
A lockout. Okay, thank you for the information. Bye-bye.
Attention students, we're in lockout, secure the perimeter. Lockout, secure the perimeter.
The goals of a lockout are to get all students and staff inside the building.
Guys, come on in. You need to get inside. Go up to the first classroom on the right. Hurry, 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 hurry.
And then lock all exterior doors. In most cases of a lockout, it will be business as usual inside the school. However, in some cases, a lockdown may also be issued in conjunction with a lockout, particularly if the threat is near the school.
Okay, so lockout is secure the perimeter. The instructions that we give the students, get in the building. If they're outside, PE, passing period, going to a special, whatever it is, we're going to get them in the closest building and we're going to lock it out. Business as usual. So class will continue to happen. If you're in middle school, there's not going to be any transition periods. So as long as law enforcement tells us we need to be on lockout, we bring everyone inside. We lock all the outside doors. That includes all the gates. And again, that means there's no threat on the campus itself. And then we increase our situational awareness to make sure we know what's going on campus. So that's where we have all the administrators, campus monitors, everyone's roaming the campus, making sure that we're seeing what's going on. But again, in the classroom, it's business as usual. The lights are on, the students are learning, they're still engaged. We let them know, hey, it's a lockout, everything's okay, but we're just for your safety, we've got the doors locked, no one can go in or out at that time. So when might a lockout occur? Pretty much any time. Who can call a lockout? Typically, lockouts are told to us by the police department. They'll say, hey, there's activity going on in the neighborhood, or there's a neighboring school that's in a lockdown. You need to go on a lockout, and it might turn into a lockdown if the threat gets closer to you. So pretty much anyone from the outside can tell us, or if we see something or hear about something, we might call a lockout just to be safe. What about class changes? No class changes would take place during a lockout because we don't want anyone going outside. Can you leave the school? No, you cannot leave the school until we've been told by law enforcement that the lockout can be lifted. Lockdown, that's locks, lights, out of sight. That means something dangerous is in the building, around the building, on campus, somewhere. And that could be a crazy person. It could be something worse. And here's a video to give you a little bit more.
If you're in a classroom when a lockdown is called, the main thing to remember is locks, lights, out of sight. As students gather in a safe area of the room, lock the door and turn off all lights. Have everyone in the room move to a location that is out of sight. Pick an area of the room that can't be seen from interior windows. An actual lockdown may not be resolved for several hours. Here's how you should wait. Stay in the safe location. Don't move around the room. Remain silent. Staff, take written attendance of who is in the room. Note anyone missing and if you have any extra students for staff.
So the student instructions, stay out of sight of windows and corridors. We do have the blinds shut and things like that. We ask them to be quiet. So last week when we did the drill, we went around, we have a check sheet for every single thing. And we made sure that all the classes were quiet, lights were out. They do not open the door for anyone. So this is the touchy part of the subject. So when we practice these, we will pull students out and we'll say, go knock on the door, see if they let you in. If they let you in, you fail. Because you have no idea if that student is being used as a hostage so that that intruder can get you into a classroom full of students. When we go around, we say, this is the police, and the police that are there present, dressed in full uniform, will say, this is the police, this is the police. Do you let them in? No, you do not, because if the police come, they will have keys, they will let themselves in. We don't let anyone in. So once the doors are locked, no one goes in and no one goes out. What we train the students to do, I'll go over a little bit later, is to evacuate. So if they can safely, as soon as the lockdown happens, they look to see what's around them. If they can assess to see that this student, these students are okay, pull them inside, lock down. Once you have that door shut, then no one goes in or out. If someone tries to knock on the door and the door is locked, they can't get in. Obviously, if they're not the intruder, we tell them they have to run away off campus, go hide somewhere wherever you can. The instructions that the teacher gets: lock the doors to the classroom, turn off the lights, leave the corridor windows uncovered. That's the windows for the doors, but we don't have windows in our doors. This is something for our teachers. We do not let people know that we're in there. Maintain silence. That's always difficult the longer a drill goes on. I've been in lockdown situations where we've been locked down for several hours, and that is tough, especially with the little guys. We try to keep them quiet. So the teachers come up with some kind of creative calming activity that they can do to try to keep them quiet, but maybe they'll use hand signals and different things like that to try to keep them calm, keep them informed. Take attendance. We make sure that we note if there's any students absent, missing, because at the back end, people are looking for everybody to keep make sure they're accountable.
If a fire alarm sounds, do not leave your safe location unless you are certain that a fire is threatening your room. If you are forced to evacuate due to a fire, keep in mind that the hall may not be your best escape route.
So this is something that we've had to change, and one of the things I fought hard with the district to get our new bell system and intercom system. This campus is 66 years old this year, so it had very old bells. Those who were with us last year know that they rang sometimes they didn't. When we had an intruder drill, the system was to pull the fire alarm. That's all we had. But what we learned in the training is that in the majority of real emergency situations, someone's going to pull the fire alarm because they want your training to evacuate when the fire alarm happens. So if you pull the fire alarm and you evacuate, what have you just done to all the students in the room? They're potential victims at that point. So we don't want that. So we've changed that practice. We have our own internal way of notifying the teachers if there's an intruder on campus. They are trained that unless they see smoke and they see fire in the room, they are not going to leave the classroom. If it's just a straight fire alarm going off and there's no intruder, they're going to leave the classroom. But if it's in the middle of a lockdown, they are not going to leave the classroom with a fire alarm. And so that's something we're trying to get the students to know the new practice, and that's something we need your help with because they have been trained to evacuate if the fire alarm goes out. The difference between a lockout and lockdown, again, a lockout means the threat is not on campus and that we're just locking all the doors, not letting anyone in or out. A lockdown is that the threat is on campus or very close to campus and that we want to make sure that nothing's going to happen. The response time for this school, unfortunately, I have had to call law enforcement several times for health-related things, is 60 to 90 seconds. So I love being next to the police station. Fought hard for this campus to be next to the police station in downtown. So generally 60 to 90 seconds. The law enforcement is trained that if there's a real emergency, it's everyone's coming. You know, they're going to pull people from bed to come down and help us. So what we have told the teachers, you lock down. Generally, you might be locked down for several hours because it does take law enforcement time to go through the campus and clear the campus in each classroom. But know that help is on the way, usually within 60 seconds. So that's good news for us. What if you're outside? So what we are training the students is to run away. So if a teacher is doing a special PE or recess or whatever, and there's a true lockdown, true emergency is going on, they all have keys to the gates. And they're going to take the kids, they're going to run somewhere out of here. If they can get to Ace Hardware, they can get to the police station, they can get to an open garage door, someone in the neighborhood, just to get students off campus, then that's what they're trained to do. Once they get off campus, wherever they end up, we have our own internal procedures for notifying us, letting us know who you have. That way we can let you guys know and we can start the reunification process. But we do not want a student who's way out on the soccer field to try to run to a classroom to lock down in an emergency, because chances are by the time they get there, the doors are going to be locked and they're not going to be let in anyway. So we are training the students to run away and get off campus, and there's always adults outside, so they would be escorting the students out. But if there is no teacher, very unlikely, but we want to train for every scenario, then we are training the students to run away to one of the businesses that they can get to around here and notify the business who they are, where they're from, call you first, and then call us so that we know and we can have a record of where that student is. If you're in the hallway, it's a threat assessment with the teachers. So if they have their door open and the intruder alarm goes off, or they hear something that's going to set them off into alarm, if they can see Johnny and Susie right outside the door, they're going to grab them and get them in and lock the door. But otherwise, if they're in the hallway and they can't get in the classroom, again, it's evacuate and run to wherever you can. If the fire alarm sounds, we talked about that, but remember that was our procedure last year, so if you guys can help reinforce that that is no longer the procedure. We're going to do several more drills with this, both announced and unannounced. So we don't always let the teachers know when we're going to do these drills. Sometimes we like to surprise them. We'll do the notification for there's a lockdown. We will then get on the PA and say this is a drill, so people aren't running over to Brennan Theater. But we do practice all those things, but the fire alarm is no longer being used. Okay, can we text our parents? This is big. Yes, the answer is yes to that. If your child has a cell phone and they could text you, then the answer is yes. The one thing that we're training our staff to do and our teachers is to wait 5 minutes to text you. And the reason why is they want to make sure they got everyone accountable, they got it quiet, and usually, again, within 5 minutes, you can have law enforcement here so that they're taking care of the threat. Then they can start texting you to let you know what's going on. Some schools in the past have said, no, don't text. We ask that you don't text them until you know the threat is over. If you text them, it vibrates, it rings, whatever, you just have given away your position and you just created a classroom danger and potential victims. So it could be one way. This was a really sticky issue for the presenter, and it's actually a really sad story because the I Love You Guys Foundation is the guy who did it. His daughter was killed in a school shooting in Oregon. And the last thing that he got from his daughter was, I love you guys. And That school's policy was to not text. Don't text your parents, don't have that communication. Hopefully this never happens, and I do a lot of praying that it won't. But you know, I would never want to have that be your last message. So the answer is yes. Please don't text them until you know the threat is over, and you're going to know because we're going to send communication out. I'm going to talk about that, and it's going to be on the news, so you guys would know that. And then they will be told to text you after 5 minutes. All right. Then we have evacuate to a location. So that is, you know, we've had an earthquake or we've had something, and we have evacuation locations on campus that we do. The students will get instructions, leave your stuff behind. So this could also mean that you've had a lockdown and law enforcement is coming to evacuate you from the classroom. They're not going to let students bring their backpacks with them. The one thing is that they have a phone. They will let you bring your phone, but backpack again could be a potential threat because they don't know what's in it. So they're not going to do that. So they're taught to leave their stuff behind. We drill it that way too. Staff is also told they can't bring their purse, anything like that, because the law enforcement won't let them. They're told to listen for instructions. The teacher's going to give instructions. They're going to evacuate, take attendance. The other options is self-evacuation. We talked about that, running away. This is a video.
During the initial moments of a school violence situation, the official call for a lockdown may not have occurred or not have been heard by everyone. You need to assess your personal safety. Consider your best option. This may include staying in a classroom behind a locked door, hiding, or evacuating. Self-evacuation, which means exiting the school and leaving the campus, is an option. If you're in a hallway, common area, or near an exterior door, self-evacuation may be your best choice. Once you've arrived at a safe location, you should immediately check in with your parents and the school district to let them know you're safe.
So one of the examples that they gave at the training is that it was a PE class. They were outside. They self-evacuated with the teacher, and the teacher did find an open garage door in the neighborhood, ran in, got all her students in there, shut the garage door. Obviously, the person whose home it was wondering what the heck's going on. But then they were able to self-evacuate to a safe location and notify the school and the parents that they were okay. If the police come, it's going to be a little bit different. I'll show you this.
When law enforcement begins the evacuation, here's what to expect. An officer will unlock your door and enter the room. Stay where you are. The officer will give you specific instructions you must follow.
Springfield Police Department, you're safe, everything's okay, we're going to get you out of the building. I need everyone to follow my instructions. I need a single file line. Leave all your personal property on the floor where it is. Form me a single file line right here at the door. Teacher, I need you in front, please.
You will be asked to leave your stuff behind, form a line at the door with the teacher in front.
I need everyone to hold hands with the person to your right and left.
Hold hands with the person in front of and behind you until you reach your final destination. Wait quietly for further instructions from the officer.
Teacher, I need you to walk out, follow the instructions of that officer right there. Go ahead.
You will be told to proceed to the next officer. Walk, do not run, and do not talk.
Walk towards the stairs.
Follow the directions of the officers guiding you during the evacuation. They could be giving you verbal directions
Right to the stairs.
or hand signals. Watch the pace of your line. Be aware of obstacles such as corners, fallen objects, debris, or stairs which may affect the speed your line can move. Don't stop until you reach the location you were directed to.
Keep moving all the way to the end of the fence. All the way to the end of the fence. Keep moving.
Verify attendance and wait for further instructions.
Connor.
Here.
Andrew.
Here.
Okay, so the students get the instructions. Keep your hands visible. This was something that we talked about quite a bit because you get an image like that Columbine, they have their hands raised, they have images like this. When there's a crisis, the recovery begins in the middle of the crisis. So this is not an image I want my son to have to look at if he's caught on the news for the rest of his life, walking out scared. So that's why you saw in the video when they talked about with law enforcement about holding hands, because it's a unifying gesture. Police always want to see hands. But if you're holding hands, at least they're able to see your hands and they can assess that it's safe. But the image that they're going to have on the news is going to be much calmer and something that hopefully won't be as traumatic years down the road when you have to look at images like this. Students bring their phone because, again, we do want them to communicate with you. And don't be surprised if it's loud when they're being evacuated. So we go over all this with the students in an age-appropriate way, from TK all the way through 8th grade. The teachers take attendance. They bring their phones. At the evacuation area, they take attendance again. The students will likely not, if there's ever a real situation, the students will likely not get their backpacks back for several days. Teachers will not get their stuff for several days because the school just became a crime zone. So they're going to have to do their investigations and things like that. So if they don't get their cell phone, no one's going to let them back in the classroom to get it. So it's another reason why we tell them to bring their stuff. Do you have permission to self-evacuate? Yes. If a student can get off campus safely, and that's their best option, then yes, they can do that. If you do self-evacuate, where do you go? To a safe area. So the good part about being downtown is they can go to Brendan, McDonald's, Chevron, police station, Ace Hardware, wherever they can go. We tell them not to go to an individual home unless an adult is with them, like the garage door situation, because we have no idea who all the neighbors are. But go to a public place where they can get a hold of somebody. Knock, knock, police, open up. No, they're not going to open the door. Police will have keys. What can you take with you? We talked about that. Why do we keep our hands visible? Police officers are trained to see what's in our hands. What will the police do? We talked about that. And then the last one is shelter. This one's a quick one. So that's because there's a danger or a hazard or risk somewhere. We're going to do an action. We don't have tornadoes, but it could be an earthquake, hazmat, tsunami, zombie attack, some kind of other hazard going on. So always we train the students to listen for instructions, be prepared for the unexpected. Maybe there's a tornado one day. I've seen one in California before, I think. Take attendance for the teachers. Again, we're always trying to find out where our students are, and if any are missing, where are they? They could be with a counselor, they could be somewhere on campus meeting with somebody. So the 4 actions, again, that we've gone over are lock out, lock down, evacuate, and shelter. So then this is the other one. This is the last part I talked about. For those of you that came a little later, the materials are here for the reunification information, as well as the standard response protocol. I want to show you this video that is done for one of the schools in Colorado, but it's the exact same process they want all of us to follow. So I'm just going to steal their video.
A school emergency can take many forms and may be due to weather, a power outage, hazardous materials, or a crisis at or near the school. Circumstances may occur that require parents to pick up their children in a formalized, controlled release. This is called reunification. Because a controlled release is not a typical end of school day event, a reunification may occur at a different location than your child's school. What part do you play as a parent or guardian? The role you play might be different than what you expect. In this 7-minute video, we will tell you why it's important to stay home and not attempt to come to the school, how you can stay informed about the situation, how you can be ready for reunification with your child. In a school emergency situation such as a tornado, fire, or crisis at or near the school, the most important contribution you can make to your child's safety is to stay home. We know your natural instinct as a parent or guardian is to come to school to protect your child, but by doing so, you may endanger yourself or your child. The school district and our first responders are working to control the situation and protect your children. Please don't come to the school. If you do, law enforcement or school officials might be distracted from the important task of keeping your child safe and managing the crisis and handling the emergency situation. You can help by staying home. In a school emergency situation, we want you to stay informed. We will provide information as soon as possible, but in some situations, accurate information takes time to verify and share. The school district will communicate throughout the emergency, and parents may be notified in a number of ways. The school may use its phone auto dialer or text message system, or may contact you by email. The district website and local news media may also provide reunification information. It's extremely important that the school has your current phone numbers and email addresses. If your contact information changes, please notify your school. In some cases, students may be asked to send a text message to their parent or guardian. A reunification text message from a student may look something like this. The school has closed. Please pick me up at 3:25 at the main entrance. Bring your ID. You should not call or text a student's cell phone, as you may put the student at risk by doing so. Students and staff are taught to stay out of sight and be quiet. A phone ringing or vibrating could alert an intruder someone is close by. Additionally, please don't call the school, as you will be taking school staff away from the emergency situation. Ways you can monitor the situation include checking the district website and checking local news media. How can you help? Keep your phone charged and close by. Stay informed by monitoring the district website and local news media. Here's what you can do to be ready and what to expect. In the case reunification is necessary, you'll be informed of where and when to pick up your child and what you need to bring. Parents and guardians will come to a reunification check-in location. Upon arrival, you will be asked to fill out a reunification card, show your photo ID, and then be reunited with your child. Remember, photo identification will be required at the reunification site.
Okay, I need to see your license.
Be patient. Reunification is a process that protects both the safety of the students and provides for an accountable exchange of custody from the school to a recognized custodial parent or guardian. Our number one priority is that students are safe and that they are united with their parent or guardian safely. Remember that this process takes time, and it's important to stay calm. What if a parent can't pick up their child? When a parent can't immediately go to the reunification site, the preference is to release students to those individuals who are identified as a student's emergency contact. Student self-evacuation. In some situations, students may evacuate themselves from the school. In this case, the student should notify their parent that they are safe. It is also imperative that the student or the parent notify the district. In this case, we may publicize a special phone number for this purpose. Remember, bring your photo ID. Be patient and remain calm. Try to send one adult rather than bringing other family members. Bring a pen or a pencil. In this video, we have told you why it's important to stay home and not attempt to come to the school, how you can stay informed about the situation, how you can be ready for reunification with your child. How can you help? Help us spread the word. Remind your friends and talk about your own emergency plans. Keep your information current by letting the school know if your phone numbers or email changes. Remember to stay home, stay informed, and be ready.
So you can substitute everything I mentioned in the district for just this, it would be Kairos, the school. We're committed to doing everything we can to keep your children safe. I mean, I have my own child here, my oldest here, so I want it to work smooth. I want it to go well. I want to get your children back to you. I know it's hard, and they talked about it several times about staying home, but that really is the best because we're not going to be able to help. Law enforcement will have taken over by then. They're not going to let you in or out. Unfortunately, we had something happen about a month ago at Jepson where there was a fake lockdown that went down. And then Uncle Bob showed up with his gun thinking he was going to take out the intruder. And Uncle Bob got taken down by the police because he thought he was going to go to the school and help save his nephew. And he became the intruder at that point. So we obviously don't want any one of you to come and do that. The police don't want that. We are going to do everything we can to keep you informed. In all honesty, the website is not going to be where you're going to go for your information. Statistically, in emergency situations, the school website crashes within an hour. And it's not because you are all getting on it. It's because the national media has picked it up and everyone wants it for their blog and social media and everything else. And so they crash the website. So our communication is going to be phone calls through our automated phone system, emails, text messages, and social media. So like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, all those things, because I doubt they're going to break down Facebook with all the traffic flow. We like to keep you guys informed with all the different information. So we're going to keep you up to date with that. The reunification I mentioned is the one area we thought we can grow in. And so it shows you at the top a card that this is what you would receive upon arrival. And so that's to fill it out. It does ask for a photo ID. If this were to ever happen, either myself or Mr. Rodden, everyone has roles and procedures. One of us will be a greeter. Means that you're supposed to be, one of us will work with police and all the other people. The other one will be a greeter because we are going to know your faces. And so if we know, you're picking up your children, and I know your children, I won't need the ID. I will just be able to say, I verified this person, and it will make the things go faster. Again, we want you with your children. So we all have different roles, but this is the form that would be used. They talked about a different location. It's very likely that your pickup could be at a different location. And for us, that could mean a different school site. So we have a partnership with Buckingham, so we might go over there. It might be at a local church, or it might be at a community center. Whatever place can hold all the children and could also facilitate a good way to pick up and have you guys come pick them up. And if that's the case, the district has agreed that they would bus the children out of here for us to another location. If a location happens to be here, we have more than likely everyone in here. Someone said, well, why don't you go to the police station? Well, what do you do if it rains? We're not going to all be outside. So all of that information will be given to you, and if this were to ever happen, through one of the different forms of communication. So I know this isn't the most exciting topic to go over, but really felt like it was important for you guys to have this perspective and know that we're doing everything we can to keep your children safe, because it is one of our priorities. And we do these drills regularly and try to do real life scenarios to make sure that our staff is prepared. And then if something goes wrong, we always have law enforcement present to give us feedback, and we also go over it with the staff as well on what we can improve upon. So is there any questions? That's a very good question. So last year, for someone preparing hours, they had sent out the request for help. So every single classroom, every single room has a Lowe's bucket with a toilet seat on it. And it's filled full of food, toilet paper, flashlights, Band-Aid, first aid kits, all of those things is in every single room in this campus. So unfortunately, someone's gonna have to go pee in a bucket, but that's better than a trash can. Last year we didn't have the buckets yet. We did a modified lockdown, and our speaker wasn't working right in the TK classroom, and they didn't know the lockdown was open. And so they had taken, very creative, they had taken some of their letter boards and created a bathroom stall in the corner of the room, and all the kids were peeing in the trash can. Very creative. But then that really got us going, like, hey, we need the toilet seats, we need all this different stuff. So it's got batteries, emergency, first aid stuff, all of that is, and water's in there. It's got a big jug of water, snacks and things like that. So it's a very good question. Any other questions? Yes?
When you get your practice drills, since like our granddaughters in the afternoon, do all the different classes participate? Like the afternoon classes left out, or?
For this particular one, they were. So we do a balance throughout the year. So Thursday's earthquake drill is in the afternoon, so that the afternoon classes can get practice with that too. So this intruder drill that we did last week was in the morning. The next one will be in the afternoon. And then so we do back and forth so that there's all the children. And then in fact, the teacher is doing her own practice in the afternoon. So, while she waits for the real practice to happen. So we try to make sure everyone's covered. Yes?
Said you would install this.
Yeah, I got a 42-inch screen on my desk. And it's got all the cameras on it. So yeah, we monitor it. I can get it on my phone right now. When I get the alarm call at 2 in the morning, they usually check the phone to see if I want to dispatch the police or not. So yeah, it's been a great resource for us since we installed it. Yes, it does. And whenever we've had after hours things, we've been able to show the police and things like that through the video footage. So it's actually worked out really great since we installed it.
Well, 1,000 pound in the event you have an active shooter on campus, is there anything in the protocols that's in the event that active shooter gains access to the classroom?
So what the teachers have been trained is to create time barriers. So anything can be a time barrier. They move their desk in front of the door. They throw things in front of the door. There's fire extinguishers next to every single door. The teachers are trained, they grab it, and they're ready to either hit or spray whoever walks through that door. Law enforcement is trained to be prepared that a teacher's going to be there defending themselves, so you might get hit in the face if you're letting yourself in. We actually do have a training in January where we're doing self-defense training with our staff, so that they will have some skills. Most of them do, but anything that they can do to create time. So statistically, most intruders don't get in through locked doors, but in the event that they do, hopefully the desk and things in the way that's creating that time barrier, the fire extinguisher, whatever they have at their disposal, scissors, whatever. And when I was teaching, first thing I did is grab the fire extinguisher and some scissors, and you stand by the door. And I was at Buckingham one year. We had a real lockdown where there was someone driving in the parking lot with a gun waving at pickup time. And so that was pickup. So we had pulled everyone into the building, locked down. So we had parents locked down with us until law enforcement came and secured the site. And so that was very interesting. Being locked down in a room full of you people, that's scary. The kids were fine. Parents, this is why we're going through this training right now. But yeah, that was a situation we had to do a few years ago. Yes?
Are the teachers allowed to carry either, I don't know, stuff or whatever in their purses and things?
Unfortunately not. So there was a law, concealed weapons owners were able to bring weapons on campus. On Sunday, Jerry Brown signed a new law from Senator Wolf saying you can't do that anymore. None of our teachers do this, but they're just saying you could, frankly. But now the law says that you can't unless the school gives you permission and all these hoops you gotta jump. But basically the answer is no. We are getting checked on the Kairos right that came up. Many teachers do keep something on them. I don't know the law on that, so I'm going to let them unless I hear something different. But you know, different weapons. The law just changed on the concealed weapons. No, they can't, unfortunately, because that is there's ed code against that, so they can be suspended for that and ultimately expelled. So we don't want that.
Another question, when you're doing a lockdown, have you experienced yet, like, you know, the kids go to the bathroom? Have you had kids in the bathroom or anything?
So this year, no, because we're still in the beginning of the year, so the drills have been announced. So the teachers are like, I don't want to be the one that has to report that my students are missing. So, you know, they say, you can't go to the bathroom because we're about to have a drill. But when we do unannounced drills, yes, we do. And so they're taught to run away or get into a room that they can get locked. So this room, what they're being told, especially if they're in this area, this door is always locked, and these are too. So if they kick this up, pull it shut, you're now in a locked room. So it's giving students ideas, but I mean, they also run away. So we are practicing that. So actually next month, that's something we're going to be doing. It's going to be unannounced. We're going to have some kids in the playground, some kids in the restrooms. So mine's in TK, and he was taught the other day, stranger danger, run away. So I asked him, what did you learn today? Run away, Dad. He's like, that's right. And I'm going to put a tracker on you and find you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So knowing my daughter and her literal interpretation of things, if you're doing a practice one and she's in the bathroom, she'll probably run away.
So we have staff, and when the law enforcement comes, they're at all the exits, so they're looking. So when we have a drill, because like the other day, the PE class took off for the fence. We had a law enforcement officer over there saying, okay, you don't need to go to ACE, you're good, it's a drill, you're safe. So in a drill, we always have people around. That's also another reason why we make the announcement that it's a drill, so that the teacher doesn't really run with them to run to. Yes?
We're going to lock out during the time kids are being dropped off at school, because you can't.
With a lockout, when they're being dropped off, you go off your threat assessment. So you grab kids. If you can see that it's safe to grab them and get them into a room,
Parent wouldn't know when we're dropping the kids off that something's occurred.
you're gonna get a message. So what we do is we have a code. We go into lockdown, and I've timed it. So I'm like, how long does it take to sound the alarm? How long does it take to get a message out to the PD? How long does it take to get a text message out to me? And all these different staff members, it's like their role. So every staff member, you might be the text message. You might be the 911 caller. But there's always a backup. You know, there's multiple backups if they're not able to do it. So we've tested it. Code that there's an intruder on campus. Alarm goes off within 7 seconds. Within 15 seconds, they've got to call into law enforcement. Within 30 seconds, I've received a text message that the school's on the lock. Obviously, I'm not going to drill it and send you guys a text message saying that. I do notify you when it's drilled. But we practice like how fast can you do that. And so we're always like, hey, this took 30 seconds. How can we get it to take 22 seconds? So to the best that we can, hopefully if you're driving through pickup and we just went on lockdown or drop off, you're going to get a text message as you're passing foster freeze and say, hey, we're in lockdown, drive away. Any other questions? Yes?
You talk about self-evacuation, you also think about the case of
Kids are resourceful, they'll jump the fence. So that's the big thing. There's very rare occurrence that a teacher is not going to be around in a self-evacuation situation. The bathroom situation, possibly. But if they're out on the field, playing, recess, PE, whatever, there's going to be a campus monitor out there or a teacher because we don't let kids out there by themselves. They're gonna run towards where the adult's going, and she's gonna be yelling, he's gonna be yelling, follow me, you know, and then they run towards a certain direction. I mean, you can't predict and you can't do everything, but that's what we practice. They run, and the adult will say, follow me, and then they go to wherever they can. Any other questions? Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, then you're gonna help pick them up and carry them. Last year we have a student here that's in a walker, and the teacher picked him up and carried him. So we'll find a way. You know, if I see you, I'm gonna grab you and run. So our teachers are here for you guys, so we train them on those things. You know, we didn't even train that teacher to pick up the boy in the walker and run. She did. That's her instinct to protect you guys. Any other questions? All right, well, hopefully this has been good for you guys. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'll hang out afterwards. I'll stop the recording so you won't be live anymore.